Welcome to the Victory Project podcast, undoing hopelessness with a godly purpose, love, and accountability. Since 2009, we've believed it's less about what we do and more about what we undo through education, entrepreneurship, and enlightenment. You're here because you believe a city on a hill cannot be hidden. Let's shine that light. Let's build victory together.
Welcome to the Victory Project podcast, episode 21. We have a pretty deep conversation we're going to talk about navigating truth. But before we jump into that, I'm your host today. My name's Keyshawn. I'm a senior program director at the high school campus, and I'm joined with three of our amazing students. Right in front of me is Antonio, team captain. How are you doing?
Amazing.
I see all 32 of his teeth right now. I think he really is doing amazing. Dezzmond is a longtime member of Victory Project for 4 or 5 years, going pretty strong. How you doing?
Pretty good. Can't complain.
Stole my line. It's okay. It's okay. Then to my right is one of our older members, Timothy, karate master. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. I can't complain though, because you're not very good at basketball. I fry you every day. So, I just want a competition, But other than that, every day's been going pretty well.
That will be the only lie told on this episode today. Yeah, I beat him pretty bad. We'll jump into our topic for today, navigating truth. Our first section that we want to talk about is economics, and I'll explain it a little bit, then I'll have a few questions for you guys. But the first one is dealing with SNAP and Section 8. Are you guys familiar with that? Where SNAP is food stamps, and if you're on food stamps, can you eat whatever type of food you want to eat?
No.
And then if you're in government housing or Section 8, can you live wherever you want to live?
Absolutely no.
Do you guys think you're truly free if you're on either of those?
No. Not really.
And we'll kind of dive into that. But when you guys drive around Dayton, most of you guys are born and raised in Dayton, Ohio. What type of businesses do you guys most often see in the inner cities?
Probably corner stores and stores of convenience.
I would say corner stores, gas station, or like abandoned places with like wooden planks on the windows and like graffitied and stuff.
Then I usually say corner stores, gas stations, and then sometimes you'll see some type of restaurant, but it really depends on what area you are in.
Fast food.
I mean, you guys hit it right on the money. What we saw most often was corner stores, liquor stores, pawn shops, and mechanics, but an overall lack of like a grocery store, factories. And why do you guys think that is?
It's a food desert. There's a lot of impoverished people within the area, but not a whole lot is done to change that. We have a Gem City market, but it helped the community and all, but we need more than just that, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Operate on a food desert pretty much.
Yeah, and another thing to add that we found really interesting is Mr. Bush and I, we looked on maps, and you see all these businesses, and you start to see a trend, and then on the outer, that kind of entrapped the inner city, was these things called payday loans. Have you guys ever heard of anything like that? A payday loan is basically where you take out a loan with the intention of you pay it back your next payday. However, the interest rates are high, very high, from 300 to 500% in a year. So that means it's going to triple, quadruple in a year, right? So we see these around. What dangers do you think that has, that payday loans for the inner city community?
It essentially just puts the impoverished people in a trap. They can't pay off what they loaned to them. And it kind of just makes them even more poor. It keeps them in a continuous cycle where they can't pay for what they need, and they also can't pay off what they use to get what they need. So they're always going to rely on it.
I'd say, kind of what Tim said. They use it, they get sucked into a trap to a point where they can't pay the loan back off, and it drives them into a deeper hole of poverty to a point where they're in risk of losing their home or car or essential things.
Yeah. I would say that first loan that they took out and they can't pay it back, they take out another one, either from a bank or someone they know, and they can't pay it back. And they were saying, they get put into worse situations because they're driven to the point where they have to go rely on something that's maybe dangerous, and they get put in a very bad position.
Yeah, and You guys can think back to your very first tour at Victory Project. There was something that we always talked about, which is the pillars of poverty, which are 3 things that not only cause poverty, but poverty at the generational rate, which are drop out of high school, get a criminal record, and have a baby before marriage. And similar to these situations where you're born in these inner cities with all these things that are entrapping people and entrapping young people, what would you guys say to young people born in this environment? How can you overcome these things, these traps, these things that they feel like there's no way out?
Well, choose not to be like your peers. Choose to do better than what you're around. It's hard to because that's all you know, but expose yourself to what is real, what a real world should be, what a real world should be like, where you have a career, a job, you stay in school to further your chances of living in a world where you can both support your family or just yourself. It all depends on how much you give in to like trying to be better every day or just making small decisions to better your life later. Because most youth just doesn't think about the later and more about the now. Or that's just what I see.
That's good.
For me, I'd say surround your people with better people, people who know what's right from wrong, people who do good, people who act rightly around everyone, even if something bad's going on. For example, someone's in a bad situation, someone's doing an illegal substance in the school, and you see it, so you decide, tell a teacher to get them help. Help them instead of get drawn into what the actions they're doing.
Yeah, I would say surround yourself with a good crowd and don't be so quick to get a girlfriend or boyfriend. So then you aren't so ready to take things to the next level with a girlfriend or a boyfriend and you want to have like kids or something like that before marriage, before it's something that you're really serious about.
Yeah, that was all really good stuff. I think what really stood out to me is Dezzmond mentioning keeping people around you that hold you accountable, which I know myself at your guys' age, I would flee from that, honestly. Like if I messed up, I didn't want anybody to tell me I messed up, right? Or I didn't want, they would call them snitches, right? You don't want to snitch around you in your inner circle. But the truth is, if you see somebody that you love and they're doing drugs or doing something like that, and you don't try to help them, you don't tell them what they're doing wrong, I think you're missing a key part of that love aspect of it. So that's really important, is who you surround yourself with, right? Because if everybody in the city is doing one thing, you guys don't have to do the same. That's why we talked about it a little bit yesterday during Bible study, that most 14 through 18-year-olds aren't on a Wednesday night talking about biblical manhood like you guys were. And it's just making those decisions each and every day. But all really good stuff on the economic side. But we'll go to something you guys are all very familiar with, media, social media. We talk about the responsibility of finding truth. What do you guys think what is that burden? Whose burden is that to carry to find truth?
Yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. What media do you guys are exposed to the most, do you guys think?
Social media like TikTok, YouTube, Snap, Instagram, all of
And
Like biased media.
biased media. Why do you say that?
Because it's so easy to put something on social media that isn't quite the truth, and you'll be speaking to a crowd that only wants to hear like the bad side of things or something like that, and you're being biased and you get more followings or more clicks off of that because that's what people want to hear and they don't want to actually look for the truth.
And if you see something like this, a social media post, a TikTok, even if you guys are like, man, I want to be like old for a day and get a newspaper or turn on the TV and look at the news channel. If you see something that you think might be biased or untrue, how would you recommend yourself or other people to find that truth, find what is actually happening in the world?
I would say go to like a trusted website or news station where you know they get their information like firsthand from someone who's experienced something or someone like who did something wrong. So like just getting the information firsthand rather than waiting for other people to tell a story.
And I would probably have to say getting your information from an area that you can normally fact check and be like, oh yeah, this is the truth. Just try and find a more neutral and grounded place to find your media.
And Tony, you got anything to add to that?
I would say, yeah, just put in the work to actually find those good sources and then after you find that good source, read up on it and check other sources to make sure like piece two and two together, find the actual facts in all of them. So yeah, just compare them to each other to be able to find the facts.
Yeah, that's good. I'll ask Antonio, overall, the addition of social media. So we kind of talked about AI. Is that good or a bad thing for finding truth? Do you think social media and the age you guys live in, where it's so easy to find stuff, right? A click of your phone, open up your phone, somebody can post it and share it to thousands very easily. Is that a good thing for finding truth, or a negative thing in your eyes for young people?
I would say negative because most younger people nowadays, most of us are like lazy. And so like you were saying, it's easy to find anything. And so it's easier to find anything that's like fake, not true, or things of that nature. So that's what we lean towards when we're on social media or something like that, because it's easy, just like a click of a finger. But like when you're looking for something true, you actually got to type it in yourself and know what you're looking for. So yeah, I would say it's a negative impact on the world's future.
I'd say it could be both positive and negative because, I mean, on the positive side, what you see, some people just jump to like a conclusion that is correct, and sometimes people are right. But then, like, when misleading information comes up, it's somewhat hard for people our age to look for something because, like Antonio said, we're lazier in this generation. And so I'd say it's pretty hard for them to do that if they won't put in the effort to try and change their own habits.
Yeah, no, I'd probably have to say it's more so about us growing up and adapting to convenience. Because
Mm.
before we didn't have to worry about AI fabricating a bunch of stuff. And at first, it didn't even really seem like a big deal. Even right now, it didn't seem like a big deal. But AI has changed a lot of things and a lot of how the world works now. Even governments are starting to use it to lead their countries and stuff like that. And to think about it, it's kind of crazy. And it's pretty much a double-edged sword. AI can help you with a lot of things, but relying on it is probably the worst thing possible. Because when you start relying on it, oh, now I can't even spell my own name without it. But when you get too comfortable with it, you kind of lose your own sense of self. And that kind of makes you more prone to being convenienced to the world than just like being uncomfortable, having to go through a struggle and like get the desired result because you struggle. If that makes sense.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying it can kind of be like a crutch,
Yeah.
and it kind of everything we've talked about can kind of be a crutch, right? If we go back to the payday loans, Section 8, and SNAP are all things to help people when they're heading towards the wrong path, almost like a crutch to help you up. So if you break your leg, say, for example, and they give you the crutch for, say, 4 to 6 weeks, you absolutely have to use that crutch. But if you keep using it for about a year, your leg will never regain that strength and you'll never be able to run. You have to go through PT and you have to start walking like normal and take that crutch away to ever overcome that injury you sustained. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's was kind of a part of Tim's point, where these things can kind of be crutches for you. They're meant to help you in certain situations, but not every situation, and definitely not for an extended period of time where it becomes that crutch that's holding you back. Then we'll go to education, navigating truth in education, and just a few statistics for you guys is DPS, or Dayton Public Schools, has a graduation rate of 71%, meaning only 71% of students graduate. But they did a readiness score, which is after you graduate, are they ready for either college, the military, or the workforce? And they found only 55% of every student that graduated was ready for either a job, school, or the military. Why do you guys think that is?
And DPS, the priorities are entirely misconstrued. All you see is like people vaping, doing whatever they want, buying new shoes, buying cars, doing whatever they want. Essentially, no concernment for what they want to do later. And that kind of like builds the idea that's how everyone should be when like it's just so normalized. Start off, what you prioritize is essentially what your community is just going to go after as well. there's a large demographic of people aiming for one thing and or just multiple and very specific things, other people are gonna want it too. Like it's no way to avoid it. And that's why we should probably start changing priorities within the house as a way to fix it, maybe. Because when you don't prioritize the right things, you kind of like lean towards the bad. You normally wind up messing up your entire life. Prioritizing, what you should value and what you shouldn't value. It like that essentially builds up how you're gonna like allocate your resources better. Because if you can change that, then you're more so going to push forward and just be able to take on a lot of things at once. Especially dealing with troubled kids and that have pretty bad backgrounds. Essentially, not forcing them to go back into the same cycle that they went into, and having them look at the same stuff that they've always seen, valuing money, women, cars, drugs, all that stuff doesn't necessarily make anyone attain a better future. It just kind of hinders them. It's just why I think you should change the priorities at the home and of the kids that are dealing with this. So
Mhm.
Yeah, starting at the home. It's a really good point. And then Antonio and Dezzmond, 55% readiness score. What do you guys think the cause, or how? What do you think this statistic says about the quality of education the students at DPS receive?
I mean, I'd say like the quality of education the students receive, it's somewhat good because like some students learn differently in every classroom and at every school. And so it takes different techniques and ways for them to learn different stuff. Around like maybe 15 years ago, a lot of teachers just thought sticking to the same curriculum from when they were a student is always going to get the job done. And I think that with them not changing up their plans and their ways, it'll be hard for people to learn something if the teacher doesn't also put in the effort to try and help them.
And Antonio, you've been at public school and homeschooled, correct?
Right.
So you kind of see it from both sides. What would you say during your time at public school or DPS? What do you think this statistics says?
I would say, uh, that it would be a big help if like staff and teachers, I wouldn't say put in more effort, but like what Desmond was saying, shift their focus to people who need the more help when trying to learn something instead of just maybe skipping over a lesson if they feel like the whole class is done and like they know it. Maybe one of the reasons that there's only like a 55% readiness score would be because maybe like since what's that called? AI, but not like the videos, but like the actual stuff, Chat GTP, and that is on the uprise. So everyone wants to use it. So you're obviously already seeing school as something that you want to get past and just be done with. So when it's so easy to reach out to those AI things that you can just use for work, you do that, and then you get out of school, and all those things that you were supposed to be taught, a computer was taught that because you were using AI the whole time. So you're not actually ready by what they were teaching you. And I feel the staff and the students could both try harder to get those percentages up.
Yeah, and I'll start this next question. I'll start with you again, Antonio. But do you think through your time at school, do you think the mandatory courses that you need to take to graduate prepare you for life after high school? Why or why not?
I say yes and no. Like algebra and the core math classes, I feel like being an engineer or something of that type of like job field that requires lots and lots of complex math, that could be beneficial, but at the same time, most people are planning to go do something like start up their own business, and it's pretty simple math. So most math classes that you had taken in high school might not benefit you much. They're teaching you things for specified jobs when I feel like we should be focusing more on like the broad category. So like maybe take away a few lessons on like algebra and add in more like consumers math,
Mm,
since that's something that 99% of people will use.
that's good. Yeah.
For me, I'd say, I mean, yeah and no, because like mandatory classes, they set us up for specific jobs. So like math, reading, somewhat science, ELA, and then other schools that have like different mandatory class options. I feel like those all set us up for possible careers that we all might want to look into. But then I'd also say no, because some classes that schools offer now are kind of pointless to me. Like, no offense to people who take classes like this, but ceramics, like printmaking, photos, film class, photography, it somewhat doesn't really make sense to me. But then I get some people like doing that and it could be a career for them. But then I don't think a lot of people would pick a career path in that if they had to choose one.
Well, I kind of have a counter argument to what you have to say, Desmond. It's not like I take any of those classes, true, but it's kind of like you're leaving out the smaller man. I don't think that school should set you up for just a specific path, but like the same time, I can apply geometry in my actual life. I'll be honest with you. At first, I didn't think so, but my teacher showed me I can. And I also can use literature and, well, literary and language arts in the real world too. I can also use the skills I built in my electives into the real world as well. It's more so about the main focus about what you want to do. And I'm not saying that like they're extremely useful. I'm just saying that they can be applied in many different circumstances and not everybody applies certain things the same way. It's all about how you take it and how you use it. But that's just my soapbox for you, Desmond. That's just what I'm saying. But
We get that like daily with Tim, his soapboxes. We can probably make a movie or write a book about them. But no, that's good stuff.
well,
But Dezzmond, I just want to make sure I understand. You were saying that at public school, basically, some kids don't sign up for photography. They're forced to take those very specific classes. They're forced to take them because they just need credits to graduate.
I mean, somewhat. It's like some people want to take the classes, but then some people don't really have a choice. Because, like, for me, since I'm a music major at my school, I have to take that specific class I'm placed into.
Desmond, I have a question. But with that sort of thing, picking a major is like what you're gonna do, like all of school year for you, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of an important topic. Is it randomized or is it like their conscious choice?
I mean, I'd say, like, you have a choice what you want to do,
Mm.
and then it's up to you if you want to pursue it or not.
So it's all about the person pretty much.
Yeah.
So you could also say that it's also a conscious choice for what they choose to do. Correct?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just saw a hole in the argument there and just had to poke my finger through. But I don't know. Probably have to say like you can't really just make such a big decision off impulse because you need something when you could just find a different way. I know it's hard to do. I know I can't really say that because I haven't experienced everything everyone else has, but same time, you still have a choice. You still choose to do what you want to do. If you involve yourself, if you probably just apply more, you'd understand what you have to do and what you don't have to do. And if you can do that, then you're pretty much set for life because you can't just like leave everything to ambiguity or just like half put or lazily just try to do something just to get by. That it doesn't work that way.
VP debate team captain coming soon. His name will be Tim. But last question of the day for you guys. All three of you guys go to secular institutions, secular schools, meaning there's not necessarily a religion like a Christian school normally would have. Do you guys think there are certain things that are pushed, certain ideas or beliefs that are pushed to the forefront that you guys are being taught?
Well, probably you have to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend. You have to vape. You have to do all this stuff that everyone else does. You have to experience everything everyone else has, and you just have to be like everyone else. That's kind of the general description, but at the same time, that's not really a valid argument. But seeing as as seeing as most schools are more secular settings, I probably have to say like there's not a whole lot of people who take God in consideration and kind of treat him like a trend and less of like something that they need and more something that they want for a specific amount of time until they start feeling convicted for what they do, or until like they just lose like the sense of self that they had when they believed in them, right? And like it just kind of creates this little hollowness, a hollow point where like when you think about it and like understand how different the outside world is compared to like how you live your life behind closed doors, it's vastly different when you follow God versus how you see like schools and stuff like that. Everyone's praising a higher body count, but when you put God first, you kind of get your own achievements, right? You get your own kind of world to live in, if that makes sense. You live your life accordingly and you struggle less because you're not by yourself.
Different path, right, than most people are going on. Des, is there anything that you guys notice that is being taught in the schools that are pushed to the forefront more than other ideas?
It's like somewhat what some teachers do. So like, some teachers would compare you to like previous students who like did good or bad, depending on what you do in school. And so I feel it's kind of wrong to me because you don't really know what that person is capable of until you actually take the time to get to know them, help them, and let them figure out what they want to do in life. And then a belief, I would say, kind of what Tim said, like everyone has to follow these exact same trends that people in society do now. And I feel like that's wrong because some people want to have a revolutionary change in their life. And I feel like it's really up to the people and their peers to help them get through it.
I would agree with both of them. I would say it's mostly pushed by mainly the students, like a higher body count, lose your virginity at a young age, dropping out of school too, and just a lot of not so thought out beliefs by kids are pushed more aggressively nowadays.
So you guys are basically saying that the thing that you guys see that is in school that is glorified the most by students and even teachers would be basically things that are contrary to our belief as Christians.
Very much so.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And this has been an interesting conversation with three very young men talking about navigating truth. But and we'll start with Antonio, if you could leave something with a listener, one thing to remember from this episode, what would you want them to remember?
I would say don't feel pressured to follow the same stupid acts by kids around you, and so that would fall into being surrounded by the right people. Just surround yourself with the right people.
Then for me, I'd say set a higher standard for yourself educationally, because if you want to succeed, you have to put in the work for it.
And I'll probably say hold yourself accountable. The world is what you make it to be. And it's less about what you do and where you come from that determines whether or not you'll live a certain way. And I can't really say that, seeing as like I don't really struggle. Or at least I don't think I struggle. Like everybody has ups and downs, but like eventually it gets better, and all it takes is for you to make it better.
Awesome job, guys. Thank you guys for helping co-host. Antonio, Dezzmond, Tim, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
And thank anybody who's listening for tuning in. Have a great week, and God bless.
Thanks for listening to the Victory Project podcast. If you believe in changing lives through faith, discipline, and opportunity, then you're in the right place. Keep showing up. Keep being the light. Until next time, remember, victory isn't just a destination. It's a way of life. Learn more at victoryproject.org.